roses are looking a little pathetic.
Nothing like Zoom to reveal that kind of
Yeah,
thing, right?
right. They were okay on Sunday, but I forgot about them. And hi, Peggy.
Hi, Peggy.
So I pulled out this is my mother's Bible
Nice.
and my father's Bible, both
Nice.
from when they were, I think, teenagers or younger even. And it's King, both of them are, I think they're both King James, but only one of them actually says that. The other says, international, let's see. No, I'm not sure. They both went to, I guess you would call them German Reformed churches. My mother eventually was an Episcopalian, and my father too later, much later. But when they were children, they went to a Sunday school that, all my ancestors were from various Germanic places. Anyway, it was interesting. I had forgotten about these Bibles. This one has, the births and deaths and marriages and all that.
Oh, that's nice.
And of course, completely falling apart. And, so that's all.
Nice.
Anyways,
a family document.
Yeah, it's fun to see. And some of it's in my mother's handwriting, which is nice.
Nice.
Hi, Margaret and Peter.
Hello.
Peggy, I love the color of your turtleneck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Color.
I have one sort of that color. I think it's better on you than me. It's always a little too bright for me.
I have a navy sort of overshirt that has this color trees on it. And so I had that on earlier, but I took that. I always feel happy in this, I mean, in terms of, there's certain clothes that, like you've got this beautiful rose colored outfit,
Yes.
But thank you very much. I had these on because I thought I might see Zoe. She loves my jewelry because this actually came from Paris, but it's each thing is a self little. It was from a museum, sort of each one is a different kind of handmade piece. So, and then she likes me to have earrings that have animals on them. So these are two yellow fish.
Things we do for grandchildren.
I know. We're all just like with bated breath till she starts preschool next Tuesday. She's been going like 1 hour and then 2 hours and then half a day, and so we'll see who cries the most. It might be the mother.
Well, Becky, I figured out a way to go to the memorial service and go to LA. It's marvelous. It's called an airplane.
Oh yeah. Oh right. You don't have to drive. How clever of you. Actually, that's a pretty quick trip down there too. It's not bad.
The 2 o'clock service. Are you talking about? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm hoping to come.
Yeah.
I felt kind of like I engaged with them and Andrea too, but
it would be nice to have. I hope we'll have a good turnout for Talbot's.
I would expect so.
Yeah.
it sounds like it was active here, and also I'm sure people at All Souls know too because they were in the choir.
That's right, and also he was a school teacher. My stepdaughter had him at Thousand Oaks School, so she may come too. So, anyway, she in fact, their families knew each other pretty well, so I think.
Well, people also really loved them in the choir. People who were in the choir with them. That was the first thing I heard when I, started knowing her and realized that there were these connections with these people that I knew there. So I think they were loved.
Very much so, and it's very sad that Carol's not well enough to come.
Oh, I was wondering about that. I was wondering whether that was going to happen or not.
I'm pretty sure she's not up to it, but I could be wrong. It may be that Andrea.
Maybe Andrea will bring her and just, maybe she won't be able to stay for the reception or something.
Something like that, but
I hadn't realized that he had done the pancakes and everything.
oh yeah, not only did the pancakes, but ground the flour and grew the wheat.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh my goodness.
But I will not be doing that, of course. I bought a mix, which will be, I hope, adequate.
Sure, it will be with love.
That's right.
And then, Larry and I were talking about Patricia. It's just kind of the all of these kind of the ending of an era type feelings.
Patricia was a very active person in the. I mean, she did so much at St. Albans, and of course, some of you only knew her when she was a little old lady, but she wasn't always.
I hope they say I want you to say the same thing about me. Now you only knew her when she was like 77, but she really used to.
You haven't gotten there yet.
No.
Patricia was a lector until,
Oh,
wasn't she? Still
She was. She
up until
Zoom.
Zoom.
She
Yeah.
didn't do it when we were on Zoom.
no, she did not do it when we were on Zoom, but
But
and
until then,
until then, as long as
and she
I'm
said,
glad I didn't know that. I thank you for telling me that.
she read beautifully, I thought.
I agree.
Great.
I agree.
Yeah.
Standing.
it was a great day for her when she could figure out how to be on the Zoom service, though, even though maybe at the end she wasn't there but I remember that first day, I looked up there and saw her, lean back in her bed, with being able to be on the thing. I mean, I think it was just so special that she wanted to do that so much. You think about how people, and sometimes us, we don't make it when we can. And then you realize these people who are just struggling to be able to be present. And I felt that she was a very prayerful person in my experience with her.
Absolutely. She was very dear.
She worked hard at that Zoom thing
She did.
to get it put together.
I feel so bad. I remember sitting with her in a coffee hour. And maybe it was after we had some conversation about end of life, and she had strong feelings about the kind of memorial service she wanted.
Yeah.
And I said, I gave her my big pitch, there's a form in the church office, blah, blah, blah. But does anyone know? Does she have it's
She
all
does.
set.
She talked
Barbara.
John talked to her,
and
and they were planning her memorial before she passed.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
John has been very helpful.
There is a form in the
Yeah.
files. Yeah.
Bible story.
So I just want to express that I'm a little bit worried about Sunday because of the heat. And it's supposed to be one of the hottest days. So I'm just a little concerned about I was thinking maybe I'd put some water bottles in the freezer for a while, and maybe other people could do it, and we could have really cold water for people to drink or something.
We'll do pitchers of water, Beth. I don't want any plastic bottles, please.
Well,
I'm sorry. I just think that's.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
But we can have cold water in pitchers and cups. That'll be fine.
Okay.
The
We're
church,
heading towards a heat wave?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
heated
okay.
advisory, Larry. So
It's
I'm
what?
heat advisory. So
Oh, okay.
going to be, well, between 85 and 100, something like that. But we'll see.
Holy cow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do we have fans?
The-
Do we have fans?
Sorry.
Do we have fans of any kind?
That's a good
I
question.
remember.
We used to have, the church itself, with all the windows and doors open, will be pretty comfortable. But the parish hall, because, it does get warmer up there because there's so much
That's
sun
right.
coming in. So
Yeah.
I think fans would be a good idea. We can, at the staff meeting, I'll ask, we can ask
Maybe
people,
they're somewhere. Maybe they are somewhere.
anyone who has a small portable fan. Could bring that that along.
I can bring.
We'll see. Yeah. But yes, I think definitely a good idea to have water available.
Be prepared.
I didn't realize that kind of heat was coming.
Was I forgot what? Yeah. They've been kind of real.
There is some funny expression that they talk about a heat something. A heat
Heat dome.
dome
A dome or something. Yeah, that
that
sounds.
they had over the Northwest. And apparently a heat, if that's what it's called, a heat dome is coming in.
Yeah,
And, you know, it will be much, much worse on the other side of the hills.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's, some places are gonna be like 110 and stuff over in the inland, whatever they call the inland area, you know.
Yeah.
yeah.
They call it the inland area.
We all know what you mean.
Peggy,
Yeah.
you sound like a native.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I get worried, and then it's not even my row of temperatures, you know. I had to get used to three, the TV having 3 lines and one. I consider us the East Bay.
We are.
Yeah,
We are
Yeah,
the Bay.
It's San
Yeah, the
Francisco,
East Bay.
the East Bay, and then the inland, the Great.
yes, yeah. The great
That's
inland, right.
I call it through the
That's
tunnel.
where the really hot weather is going to be. I can tell you that. I have learned to read it well enough to know that.
Yeah. Should we go or?
Yeah,
I think this is our
absolutely.
usual
Okay,
uh,
okay.
allotment of people.
So this is the climax of Job. And I thought Elihu the Buzzite has stopped talking.
Are you reading?
Everybody stopped talking.
Are
And
you reading?
now we're gonna hear, yeah.
Are you
well,
going to read from the King James?
I am gonna start with the King James.
I was just
Okay.
telling the
I
first
forgot
two.
what verse we stopped on. It was it
We
30.
finished chapter 37 and we're beginning
37.
chapter 38.
Okay.
And I think I read the first verse of chapter 38 last week, but I'll read it again.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to repeat for me.
Yeah. So here we go. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Or who shut up the sea with doors when it brake forth as if it had issued out of the womb? When I made the cloud the garment thereof, and thick darkness a swaddling band for it, and break up for it my decreed place, and set bars and doors, and said, hitherto shalt thou come, but no further, and here shall thy proud waves be stayed. Hast thou commanded the morning since thy days, and caused the day spring to know his place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it? It is turned as clay to the seal, and they stand as a garment. And from the wicked their light is withholden, and the high arm shall be broken. Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea, or hast thou walked in the search of the depth? Have the gates of death been opened unto thee, or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare, if thou knowest it all. Where is the way where light dwelleth? And as for darkness, where is the place thereof? That thou shouldst take it to the bound thereof, and that thou shouldst know the paths to the house thereof. Knowest thou it, because thou wast then born, or because the number of thy days is great? Hast thou entered into the treasures of the snow, or hast thou seen the treasures of the hail, which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war? By what way is the light parted, which scattereth the east wind upon the earth? Who hath divided a water course for the overflowing of waters, or a way for the lightning of thunder, to cause it to rain on the earth where no man is, on the wilderness wherein there is no man, to satisfy the desolate and waste ground, and to cause the bud of the tender herb to spring forth? Hath the rain a father, or who hath begotten the drops of dew? Out of whose womb came the ice and the hoary frost of heaven? Who hath gendered it? The waters are hid as with a stone, and the face of the deep is frozen. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of the Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth constellations in their season, or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? Canst thou lift up thy voice to the clouds, that abundance of waters may cover thee? Canst thou send lightnings, that they may go and say unto thee, here we are? Who hath put wisdom in the inward parts, or who hath given understanding to the heart? Who can number the clouds in wisdom, or who can stay the bottles of heaven when the dust groweth into hardness and the clods cleave fast together? Willst thou hunt the prey for the lion, or fill the appetite of the young lions when they couch in their dens and abide in the covert to lie in wait? Who provided for the raven his food when his young ones cry unto God? They wander for lack of meat. Should I switch now to the New Revised, or is the King James okay with you guys? Is it okay, guys?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, great. Okay. Excuse me. Knowest thou the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth? Or canst thou mark when the hinds do calve? Canst thou number the months that they fulfill? Or knowest thou the time when they bring forth? They bow themselves, they bring forth their young ones, they cast out their sorrows. Their young ones are in good liking, they grow up with corn, they go forth and return not unto them. Who hath sent out the wild ass free? Or who hath loosed the bands of the wild ass? Whose house I have made the wilderness, and the barren land his dwelling. He scorneth the multitude of the city, neither regardeth he the crying of the driver. The range of the mountains is his pasture, and he searches after every green thing. Will the unicorn be willing to serve thee, or abide by thy crib? Canst thou bind the unicorn with his band in the furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after thee? Wilt thou trust him because his strength is great? Or wilt thou leave thy labor to him? Wilt thou believe him that he will bring home thy seed and gather it into thy barn? Gavest thou the goodly wings unto the peacocks, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich, which leaveth her eggs in the earth and warmeth them in dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them? She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear, because God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. What time she lifteth up herself on high, she scorneth the horse and his rider. Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou clothed his neck with thunder? Canst thou make him afraid as a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils is terrible. He paweth in the valley and rejoiceth in his strength. He goeth on to meet the armed men. He mocketh at fear and is not affrighted, neither turneth he back from the sword. The quiver rattleth against him, the glittering spear and the shield. He swalloweth the ground with fierceness and rage, neither believeth he that it is the sound of the trumpet. He saith among the trumpets, ha ha, and he smelleth the battle afar off, the thunder of the captains and the shouting. Doth the hawk fly by thy wisdom and stretch her wings toward the south? Doth the eagle mount up at thy command and make her nest on high? She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock and the strong place. From thence she seeketh the prey, and her eyes behold afar off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and where the slain are, there is she. Moreover, the Lord answered Job and said, shall he that contendeth with the Almighty instruct him? He that reproveth God, let him answer. Then Job answered the Lord and said, behold, I am vile. What shall I answer thee? I will lay mine hand upon my mouth. Once have I spoken, but I will not answer. Yes, twice, but I will proceed no further. Then Answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind and said, gird up thy loins now like a man. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. Wilt thou also disannul my judgment? Wilt thou condemn me that thou mayest be righteous? Hast thou an arm like God? Or canst thou thunder with a voice like him? Deck thyself now with majesty and excellency, and array thyself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the rage of thy wrath, and behold everyone that is proud, and abase him. Look on everyone that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secret. Then will I also confess unto thee that thine own right hand can save thee. Behold now Behemoth, which I made with thee. He eateth grass as an ox. Lo now, his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong pieces of brass. His bones are like bars of iron. He is the chief of the ways of God. He that made him can make his sword to approach unto him. Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He lieth under the shady trees, in the covert of the reed and fens. The shady trees cover him with their shadow. The willows of the brook compass him about. Behold, he drinketh up a river, and hasteth not. He trusteth that he can draw up Jordan into his mouth. He taketh it with his eyes. His nose pierceth through snares. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with an hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put an hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird, or wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him, remember the battle, do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down, even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his comely proportion. Who can discover the face of his garment, or who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a close seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They stick together that they cannot be sundered. By his neesings a light doth shine, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goeth smoke, as out of a seething pot or cauldron. His breath kindleth coals, and a flame goeth out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together. They are firm in themselves. They cannot be moved. His heart is as firm as a stone, yea, as hard as a piece of the nether millstone. When he raiseth up himself, the mighty are afraid. By reason of breakings, they purify themselves. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold the spear, the dart, nor the habergeon. He esteemeth iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. Darts are counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp pointed things upon the mire. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh a path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary. Upon earth there is not his like, who is made without fear. He beholdeth all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from thee. Who is he that hideth counsel without knowledge? Therefore have I uttered that I understood not, things too wonderful for me, which I knew not. Hear, I beseech thee, and I will speak. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now mine eye seeth thee. Wherefore I abhor myself and repent in dust and ashes. And it was so, that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against thee and against thy two friends, for ye have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job hath. Therefore, take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you. For him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, and that ye have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did according as the Lord commanded them. The Lord also accepted Job. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came there unto him all his brethren and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him and comforted him over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep and 6,000 camels and 1,000 yoke of oxen and 1,000 she-asses. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Keren-happuch. And in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. After this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. So Job died, being old and full of days.
We have the best reader ever.
Hey, thank you.
That
I
was
can't
great.
believe we read that whole book.
Good.
I'm just so
Thank you.
happy we did it. Yeah, we did
it.
it.
Well, this Bible reading is getting addictive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is
Really is.
so good.
Was it more difficult for you to read the King James version?
Well, it's a little bit of a tongue twister with the trusteth and the beholdeth.
Right.
But I had gone through it a little bit to, get myself in the mood. And I realized that the King James it's what I call a lot more periodic. That is, it kind of repeats itself. The sentences are much longer, and I think, than the NSRB. And so you have to beware when you read it that you are not starting something new. You're going back to something beforehand. And just the phrasing works that way. Anyway, I thought it was fun to read it in King James. If
That's
fun
wonderful.
is appropriate.
It was.
Yeah.
I do commend the Revised Standard also, because it's kind of like between the two, between the NIV and the King James, and it has some of the beautiful language or cadence that you had,
Yeah.
but not so many of the THs at the end of things. It was, but I enjoyed all the different ways we read it. But, when I was reading with you, but with the RSV, I thought, well, it has a lot of the good parts, but it has some advantages to some words, some flow of the words. But I thought you just read it beautifully. I think it's not easy to do that.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
But
you.
you know what I find, what do you think God is telling Job? And Job says, it's true, I'm vile. I don't know I didn't know what I was saying, or words to that effect. And then God says, okay, you're okay. And then he says to Eliphaz and the other guys, he says, but you have really pissed me off. And you are the ones who have to make sacrifices to atone.
That was very satisfying, actually.
Yeah.
I think
I didn't like them.
God felt he was misrepresented by those 3 friends.
I think so. Yeah.
God's gonna, just cast you out. When
Yeah.
what we see at the end is that God, I mean, Job listened and God forgave, and if forgiveness is the right word. And then
Yeah,
God wanted to, reinstate him because I thought one of the saddest parts was where he talked, I think about whenever it was, I don't know, but about how I used to go to the gate, and then the young people would get out of his way, and the older people would listen to him. And
yeah.
how often we feel that way sometimes when we become, I don't know, what would you say, extraneous or just a cipher in the real power or real listening or the real leadership or whatever,
Yeah, it's moved on to other
Yeah,
people
yeah,
or something. Yeah,
And Job was really aware, very, very aware of that.
yeah,
feeling. So I thought that was a really human and
Mhm.
yeah.
a really profound kind of
Mhm.
hard thing.
Reintegration into society.
Yeah.
Right, right.
I think God smacked Job down because he said, how could you conceivably do what I did?
Yes.
Sort of thing. But I think he respected Job for always being a person of integrity, even if he didn't say God is like this the way the other guys did. He said, God, you tell me why. So you show me what you're like. Yeah. And God did.
Yeah.
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 With all those incredible animals, Leviathan and unicorn
Mhm.
and beetles,
Yeah.
none of which is in the zoo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really.
So, yes,
What do you think behemoth is? Because he also
Whale.
talked about behemoth.
I thought that was kind of like a big
Whale.
ox or something, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah,
I think it's
it might
bigger.
have horns or something. Yeah.
what do they translate it in the modern version? They still call it a
I don't
behemoth.
They
know.
call it. It was, let's see.
They don't call it the unicorn, but they did call it the
Let me
behemoth.
take a look.
I don't know.
Yeah, this
I didn't
doesn't
look
use
at that.
unicorn, but it says behemoth. This is the revised standard of what I brought to the TV today, to the,
To the show.
yeah,
the
I mean,
showtime.
the one that I chose to bring was, but it has behemoth, but it doesn't have unicorn in there.
Yeah.
Well, the dictionary says a behemoth is like a brontosaurus.
Ah,
And
Ah,
today it says a behemoth, and then a second meaning is it's used metaphorically today, primarily for a big and powerful organization.
Oh,
right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Not necessarily. A
like a big kind of buffalo ox or something,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
I have
Or
no,
a rhinoceros.
that's just
Or
totally,
like Facebook or Google.
So does unicorn disappear in the revised version?
in the revised version, unicorn is not used as, it's more like a,
Rhinoceros.
it like a wild ox or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tail stiff like cedar and sinews and his thighs and bones and tubes and whatever. He eats grass like an ox. That's what he says. Maybe in the other one.
Yeah.
So I have to go. Sorry. But
Bye,
I'll-
Mary.
Bye.
Bye, Mary.
Bye.
Goodbye, Mary.
Sorry.
Mary,
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
listening.
Wonderful.
Mary, I have a question. Larry, I have a question about, I would agree with you that it seems like at the end that Job gets more of a smackdown than he does an explanation.
Yeah.
As though an explanation is not due to him. And so, because what you read last time at the end of that was Job complaining about that the wicked seem to have control over the weak and the disinherited, and they seem to win all the time. And you do nothing about that. You don't seem to intervene. And so in this passage, it seems as though God is saying, I don't need to explain to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the idea of it really kind of is, and Job just sort of accepts that. He says, well,
He
okay.
does.
No.
He does.
So it seems there's something unsatisfying about that. I
You
find.
know, there is
There's
something
something-
unsatisfying
There's something
about Job.
unsatisfying about that, because if the meek are supposed to inherit the earth, and we're supposed to be taking care of the poor and the disenfranchised, how are we supposed to do that if, it feels like someone's got their foot on the scales, tipping it in the other direction?
That's a good way to, God has his foot on the scale.
Yeah, God's got his foot on the scales,
Scale.
and either take it off and give us a chance, or
Yeah, it's like, well, I don't know. That's a good point. I don't think the book of Job answers that question.
I don't think it does either. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing that we've read would answer that.
Yeah.
It's just, I really think I don't need to explain to you.
I think that's
Yeah.
Like he
absolutely
says,
right.
where were you when I was making the universe? You know?
Yeah,
And I
You're-
think
You're
I think that-
you're insignificant in that
yeah,
role.
I think
It's just-
that's the explanation,
yeah,
that basically all you need to know is how different you and I are.
That's it.
That's
And,
it.
and so
Yeah.
this whole thing, and what he says to the friends is, you totally missed the mark about me.
yeah. He
And
does-
not only have you missed the mark, but it's within my purview to, kind of decide to reward him and not you. and-
Yes.
No, God
But
is
you
very
know,
smart.
they did miss the mark,
Yeah,
because they
they
tried
did.
to say what God was like, and Job never did that.
No, well, he
Yeah.
couldn't. All he did was, what he did is he complained about, it seems as though the people who are wicked in the world seem to be winning.
Yeah,
And how are they supposed to, how are we to prevent them from winning?
yeah.
When it seems as though the scales are tipped in that direction. And I
Yeah.
think that's a really good question.
I think it's a really good question, and God says, you can't bring me to judgment,
That's right.
Job. You want to bring me to judgment, but you can't. I can bring you to judgment. Yeah,
Well, look what happened when they brought
They were
Jesus to judgment. Right?
yeah. Well, isn't it a great book? Isn't
Yeah,
it
it is a
an
great book.
amazing book? Yeah. And I think it could be read like 1,000 times and we'd still
Yeah, that's the
be
way I'm
having the
feeling.
same conversation. Yeah.
But it's so important because none of us will ever stop asking those questions. I mean,
No.
No, I
it's
don't think
part of
so.
living.
And
is
it's,
asking those
part of our
questions.
whole history and how did the
Yeah.
Holocaust, how did God let X happen? I mean, it's so,
Yeah, it's how
But
good.
maybe I don't know if this is the point, but that life keeps going. It kind of, stumbles and stutters along at certain points in history. And you have to live with sort of holding two opposing feelings or ideas at the same time.
Yeah,
Trying to do the best with what you're holding on to. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I think he says it's not my intent to intervene. Or
yeah.
if I feel like it, I will. You may
What do
not
you-
like it.
What do you think the meaning of that ending was? I used to think, well, this is just like Pollyanna, at the end that, he's gonna have 14,000 of what he used to have
Yeah.
140.
a lot of animals.
I don't
Yeah.
know, that may be the
It's-
writer.
Have a
The
coda.
writer just decided to have a Disney ending.
Yeah,
It may be, but when I read that part about the camels and stuff like that, how we get so many camels, I thought about the end of, remember we read Jonah,
yeah.
and God says to Jonah, what do you want me to do? Burn up these 120,000 people? And then he says, not to mention the
Yeah.
animals.
The animal.
Yeah. And so like the animals are also important
Yeah.
to God. Yeah. So it's so interesting. Job gives you permission in some ways to ask those hard questions because it's in the Bible and it says, hey, Job asked, you ask, it.
I think that's a really good purpose.
Yeah.
Just to say,
Yeah.
you can ask those questions and
Yeah.
have those, I don't know, there are doubts, I think, or just
Yeah.
frustrations maybe.
What a good book. Thank you guys for sticking
you.
with it.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Larry.
For sticking with it.
Terrific. Terrific.
So,
So think about what's next, huh? I mean, I'm assuming we want to go, since Barbara says it's getting addictive.
yeah.
So we should think about next, what we want to read next.
Becky has a thought.
Well, the
What did
wis-
you say, Barbara?
we
No, no,
occasionally
Becky.
Oh, Becky,
we
yeah,
occasionally read from the Wisdom of Solomon at 8 o'clock morning prayer, and
okay.
it's quite beautiful. It's short, but people may want to do New Testament now. I don't know. But
Yeah, is
That would be a
called
nice
the
antidote.
Wisdom?
sorry, it's not the Song of Solomon. It's the Wisdom of Solomon. It's
Okay. The Song of Solomon is the sort of sensual one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. But we
Yeah.
hear it, in weddings and so forth. But the Wisdom of Solomon we don't read very much, and it's
Okay.
quite beautiful, I think.
I'm not sure I ever read it.
Well,
Okay,
that would be.
yeah,
So let's
Yeah.
I mean,
do
we
that.
don't have to do it, but it's one thought.
okay. Anybody else? What do you think?
It's all
Look at
good.
It's all good.
It's,
Yeah, we're all gonna
Good
get,
book.
yeah.
That good book.
Well,
Isn't it interesting at the end how he names the 3 daughters and not the sons?
yeah,
yeah,
that is
I
interesting.
didn't even think of that. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. That is,
what's
that's really interesting. Yeah.
the HarperCollins Bible. Let me read you what they say.
Okay.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
Like Baal's, B-A-A, Baal, the idol. Like Baal's 3 daughters, Job's are named Jemima, which means dove, Keziah, means cinnamon, and Karen Hapuk, horn of antimony. Neither Baal's nor Job's sons are named. Perhaps the emphasis on Job's daughter's beauty and wealth implies that he will easily find husbands for them. Norman's daughters did not inherit unless there were no sons. But that's all it says about it.
Huh.
Yeah. But it says in Job that he let them, he set up his girls to inherit.
Yeah.
as the brothers did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
very unusual, evidently. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
But I like the translation of those names.
Yeah. It's
And
nice
it's
to know
interesting
what
that
you
they're the
mean.
same.
What was the last one? I forgot. I didn't hear that last one.
Horn of antimony. That's the hyphenated name.
Uh-huh.
Car-
I didn't remember that.
oh, wait, hang on. I have to find
Well,
it.
Jemima is the one that's still with us.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Karen Happuch, Keren hyphen Happuch is horn of antinomy. Antinomy is a metal, I think, of some kind.
Yeah, or
I
some
don't-
sort of mineral.
Mineral or something.
It's ground and used as makeup.
Ah,
Really?
oh,
I think,
Okay.
unless I'm.
yeah, that could be. That could be.
It must have been precious or scarce,
It's also a homeopathic remedy.
Ah,
Oh,
Oh,
for
Learn.
what, Roseanne? For,
I can't remember, but
okay,
they're all either, vegetable, mineral, or animal, so.
okay.
Huh.
Well, great. I'm gone until the 5th of October.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
mhm.
Poor me, I'm going to
no.
Italy.
We're-
Yeah,
We will miss you.
We'll call you.
so we'll pick up, huh? I won't forget about you guys. Okay,
No, take
We'll
lots-
remind you.
okay. Okay, great, okay.
I'll be in Italy too, Larry.
Oh, yeah, that's right, I
Maybe
forgot.
we'll run into you.
Yeah, you're going to Rome, right, Roseanne?
Rome and Umbria.
Okay,
Oh, wonderful.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Sicily, and I'm going to Lecce, which is in the heel of Italy. So I'm really going into
Oh.
the south.
Sicily, so.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
it'll
one
be
of my
special.
first trips ever to Europe.
Yeah.
And I just, how lucky you are. That's
Yeah.
why-
I think
Wonderful.
Sicily, I was there over 20 years ago and it was beautiful. Man, the food is excellent. in
Yeah.
Sicily.
I
Yeah,
have vivid memories of the taste of food in Sicily.
yeah, yeah.
The sardines.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
Oh
mother,
my God, I'm getting hungry again. I just had dinner.
Yeah, so, well, thank you for letting me be a part of this group. I
Oh.
loved just the experience of it has made me want to, encourage other people to do this because
Yeah,
it's really a powerful experience. And I think we'll never forget the books that we read together.
yeah. We should keep a
I,
list.
I speak for myself. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's worked out. Yeah.
No, it's great that you're
Fingers, it's
here.
worked out. Yeah. Okay, guys,
Good.
Okay.
I will stay in
Safe
touch.
travel
Everyone.
on your trip and everything.
Thank
night.
you.
Yeah.
I'll see you on Saturday. I'm not
Yeah.
leaving like tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
leaving
Leaving at the
next
back.
week.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have live church Sunday.
we do.
right?
And I think,
Yeah,
are you acolyting maybe?
I don't think so. I don't know. It'd be nice to have a day off, Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
God bless. Yeah. Have a
Hey,
Everyone.
take care, everybody, and
have a
thanks.
great
Thank you.
September.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Larry.
Okay.
Right. Okay,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.